Okay, let's do it. Hey, what's up? Improvement Warrior, Jason Yun, back with you again. Welcome to next podcast. This is number 17. This is going to cover a blog post review that I wrote. It was based off another podcast from Luke Storey going over infertility. And, well, his podcast was mostly about fertility and creating it. But there was something that the doctor in that podcast said that sparked me to go a little further and talk about it a little bit more. But a little what's going on in my life. So it's literally been 2 days since I recorded the last podcast. So I'm going to have some set days for recording and editing these things. Got my Midwestern blue blockers yesterday. And so, yeah, much happy about that. So that broken pair of raw optics will be waiting until I lose or break another pair. But always good to have backups for blue blockers. It's one of the essential things that you need to be the healthiest version of you. And yeah, I can't stress it enough. Your light environment matters. My sleep is just rock solid. I mean, obviously I do a whole bunch of other things to improve my sleep, but blue blockers and the right type of blue blockers, blocking as much light. So these are the red. They block up to 550 nanometers of light, which will block also the green frequencies. So certain green frequencies will mess you up and mess your melatonin up and mess your sleep up and all that stuff. So if you want to check them out, improvementwarriorfitness.com/blue blockers. All links will be in the show notes. Show notes for this one will be improvementwarriorfitness.com/infertility. But let's get right into this. Let me share my screen here. So the Luke Storey one was, he interviewed Dr. Cleopatra, where she talked about the Primester. So most people know there's a first trimester, a second trimester, a third trimester, a postnatal. Most you probably don't know, but I am certified in perinatal fitness. I did that back in, I don't even know when, 2013, 2012, somewhere around there. Got the certification in New York City. And so, yeah, my website, Mommy Strength, takes people through, depending on what trimester you're in, takes people through workouts just like LBNonlinefitness.com does. But you can select your workout based on where you are, and you just follow along. So it's not me working out, it's an actual mom. Sometimes my wife has got a section up there as well. So you can check that out if you know anybody who is pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant. But she talks about the Primester, which is a time before you get pregnant, which everybody should be incorporating to get as healthy as possible, because we want the healthiest child as possible. And if we're not healthy, then leptin, which selects for the oocyte egg selection and maturation, it's going to select the wrong egg, because you're going to be in an environment that is basically stressed out and all this stuff. And then we're going to have these kids born with a higher heteroplasmy rate, more chances for genetic disease, more chances for chronic disease, more chances for mitochondrial failure. And it's on both parts, male and female. Okay, so male needs to get as healthy as possible, female needs to get as healthy as possible, and all that stuff. So let's get into this blog post breakdown here. So the big thing that sparked this blog post from Dr. Cleopatra was just 3% of America is truly infertile. And she says that's for most developed countries, just 3%. So fertility, like most diseases, can be fixed. But this one is especially important because if a species cannot procreate, that species will die off. Okay, we are in our 6th extinction event right now. We are dying off. Infertility, I think the numbers that I saw back from 2012 were 1 in 8 couples cannot conceive. So that is an issue. And I'm going to say flat out, 1 in 8 can't conceive, but I would say 6 to 7 out of 8 are not healthy. Okay, 75% obesity or overweight or fatness in America, and over 80% are sick. And the problem is a lot of people don't even know that they are sick. So it's a big issue. Right? Vitamin D is low. Right? That is an issue. That's a sucky immune system. You're going to pass that down to your kid? No. We want super babies. That's what she called them, super babies. Okay. All right. So the 6th Extinction Event by Elizabeth Kolbert. It's a good book. It'll basically tell you how everything is dying off. Okay. Einstein said, if the bees die off, then humans will follow within 4 years. Over 90% of our bee population is gone. And main driver for the bees dying off is the wireless stuff, the 1G through 5G. So how 5G could dramatically alter our world. So here's a little thing I got from Arthur Furstenberg, author of The Invisible Rainbow, which I highly recommend every single human reads. So how could 5G dramatically alter our natural world? Scientists have proven that radio frequency, RF radiation, can be absorbed by insects, raising internal temperatures, interfering with reproduction, or triggering other responses. This has dramatic implications for our natural world as purveyors of 5G technology push ahead with their plans to blanket the country with powerful 4G and 5G antennas. Honeybees are critical to our nation's food supply. They pollinate our crops, increasing yields and improving quality crops. In fact, many of the foods we eat every day would not exist without the pollinating work of honeybees at bloom time. Scientists have found that insects like honeybees can be dramatically affected by high frequencies associated with 5G. These higher frequencies can raise the bee's internal temperature, leading to changes in behavior and physiology with unknown and unpredictable results. RF radiation can disrupt the magnetic compass that many migrating birds and insects use, causing disorientation and possibly disrupting migration patterns. More than 50% of the beetle pupa exposed to RF radiation failed to develop normally compared to a control group, resulting in inconsistent maturation of body parts. 25% of the exposed beetles died. And I know they did experiments with bees in their beehives. They would take a phone that was turned off, put it in the hive, no problems. Bees went about their regular thing, and then they turned the phone on, and then just complete chaos. Some of them would leave, and they wouldn't come back. Some of them just stopped doing work. They were lethargic. They wouldn't do what they were supposed to do, and most of them died off. Like I think 80 to 90% of the hive would die off if you just kept that phone on consistently. So it's a big, big issue. All right. So back to the blog here. Just because you can get pregnant doesn't mean you should. Again, 80% in America, 80% plus in America are sick or fat or both. Remember, fat is a disease. You are leptin resistant, you are insulin resistant, you have metabolic syndrome, you have a bunch of things wrong. So, leptin is involved in the oocyte egg selection and maturation. Your mitochondria is a femtosecond to femtosecond environmental sensor. So guess what happens if your mitochondria senses a crappy environment? It gives the signal for leptin to select that crappy egg. And that is if you are able to conceive, because it is very hard to conceive if you are leptin resistant. If both parties are leptin resistant, it's even harder. Okay? So it's going to select a crappy egg. If you're going to get crappy sperm, okay? I mentioned somewhere, but men's testosterone levels today in their 20s is equivalent to men's testosterone levels who were 70 years old in the 1950s. So, big problem. And what's the main cause of lowering testosterone? I mean, there's a bunch of things, but the phone is going to be the biggest one. Men putting their phone right in their pockets, not on airplane mode, radiating their balls. Okay. Not a good thing, not a smart thing. Never put that phone on your head. Never put that phone on your body. Get a defender shield, okay? But keep it away from your body at all times. I don't even like to touch it. I mentioned this before. Don't touch the cell phone, because the radiator of your body is basically the wrist. That's where a lot of people will slit their wrists when they're committing suicide, because that's where all the blood goes, the fingertips. That's where we have the most feeling stuff. So we feel the best with our fingertips. Okay? But the blood circulates through the body. Okay? And yeah, so if you're holding it in your hand, that's not a good thing, because you're basically irradiating that blood, which is going to go everywhere around your body and around your mitochondria and everything. So get a defender shield, get a selfie stick if you're making a lot of phone calls. Get away from the phone. Is not a toy. It's one of the most destructive things that we have. It's basically killing humans. It's obviously killing bees. It's killing frogs. That book, The Sixth Extinction, goes over everything that it's destroying. And we got to get mad about this stuff. Okay, big tech doesn't care about you. All they care about is that you buy the next iPhone upgrade.
And now here's one of our messages from one of our sponsors. Listen up.
Blocking blue light is one of the most critical things we need to do in our modern world if you want to either remain healthy, reverse a disease, or become the optimal version of yourself. There are a lot of companies out there that are now making it more stylish than ever to join the ranks of biohackers across the world. Oh, and blue blockers are absolutely essential for keeping your dopamine levels up and exiting the matrix. I have personally been using Midwestern Light Therapy as my go-to errand and grocery store, as well as my after sunrise glasses. Check them out, as well as the others I have used and recommend at improvementwarriorfitness.com/blueblockers. For Midwestern Light Therapy, use code IMPROVEMENTWARRIOR10 for 10% off, and you can also pick out blue light-free light bulbs as well as red light therapy devices. Remember, your light environment is more important for your health than the food you eat or the exercise that you do.
I've got a leptin meme here, but leptin, just basically everything not everything, because there's so much it does. It's the master hormone. Leptin is made in the white fat cells. It influences insulin and dopamine in the brain, impacts both nervous system and the endocrine system, controls fertility in women, controls oocyte selected maturation and placental formation and growth. Okay? Remember, non-native EMF crosses the blood-brain barrier. It also crosses the placental barrier. So it will get to your child, to your fetus. It controls, modulates the immune system in the brain. It binds to the receptors in the brain to suppress appetite and glucose production in the liver. It affects mood and mental health. You first get it via colostrum in the breast milk. It controls progesterone, which directly affects neuron development and synaptic connections in the fetus. But if by some miracle chance you are able to get pregnant, then this child's chances of a genetic or mitochondrial disease are going to shoot up big time. Mitochondria is primarily passed down through the mother. This also is leading to kids being born with percent heteroplasmies rates of 10 to 30% rather than 0%. So I talked about that in the last podcast with autism and autoimmunity. Heteroplasmy is basically how stretched out your respiratory proteins are. As you approach 70%, life is starting to decline, and death will be upon us soon if changes are not made. The good thing is that the stretching of the respiratory proteins can be stopped and reversed by focusing on health habits rather than disease habits. Some of the most important ones are going to be sunrise, early AM sun, sunset, sun throughout the day, vitamin D from the sun, cold exposure, cold baths, cold showers, okay, face dunking, hand dunking, okay, eating good food, DHA. That's the primary food that needs to be consumed, because if you're not eating the DHA, you can't catch the electrons and they can't go in and do the things that they need to do. All right. I saw a stat that said men in the, I already covered that. So one of the big reasons is, the biggest reason for that is the cell phones and Airpods. Airpods are going to be the worst because they sit in the canal of your ear and they're actually closer to the brain. Plus they have 3 radio frequencies. They've got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the cellular networks. Okay? So if you're using Airpods, or if your kids are using Airpods, get rid of them. Okay? These electromagnetic fields, these electro-pollution, it does not affect everybody equal. Kids are the most effective because their brains are not fully developed, their skulls, their bone structure is not fully developed, so it's going to get into their body, get into their organs, and cause problems, maybe cause it not to fully develop. Okay? We don't know. It is a massive experiment since it's 2000. So if your child was born after 2000, we're going to have some major shitstorms coming up here in the next decade or two. Okay? Because we're going to find out what 10, 20, 30 years of exposure for some kids starting at 8 years old. All right? Learn how to use the cell phone. And if you are going to give it to your kid, which I believe no kid under 16 should have it, then you need to teach them how to have it. Otherwise, you need to take it away. If you're using it irresponsibly, you need to take it away from yourself. Okay? Listen to the Smarter Tech podcast with Nick Pinole. All right, cell phones in the pocket, not on airplane mode, right next to the testes. Ladies, it messes up your hormones and your parts as well, your uterus, okay? Everything down there. It creates an imbalance of testosterone and estrogen and all the other sex steroid hormones like pregnenolone, which pregnenolone actually goes on to make all the other sex steroid hormones. Basically, it wreaks havoc on your health. Plus, it causes calcium efflux, which is also known as excitotoxicity. Calcium leaks from the cell with electro-pollution. It's not supposed to do that. It's the one factor that is necessary to create an autoimmune disease, which I covered in episode number 15. Okay, I got another meme here. Kids versus tech. Kids lose. Electron depletion occurs when 2 semiconductors are made of different materials. Tech is silicone. Humans are carbon. And yes, we have semiconductors in us. In order to run silicone, it requires more energy than carbon, so it steals electron. So that's based on Einstein's mass equivalence theory, E equals mc squared. Okay? And that basically goes over why I think you should never touch the cell phone. Get a Defender Shield, get a selfie stick. I don't have it in these type of hats, but like the regular trucker hats and that kind of stuff, I put aluminum foil in there, and then I would put the phone in the aluminum foil, and I would be holding it through that. But now in my hats, it's aluminum foil. They sent me an extra cover of a smart cover for my smart meter. I put that in there, and then I have a hat. My son's belly armor hat, and I put that in there. So 3 levels of protection. Eventually I will get like a lamb's beanie, which protects from EMF, or No Choice. Apparently he had the FBI come to his house the other day for posting stuff on 5G and that kind of stuff. I'll link his account up as well. He's got blankets, he's got a hoodie, all kinds of stuff. Eventually I'll get some stuff from there as well. All right, if you have been diagnosed infertile, do not fret. I know, especially for guys, that can be a giant kick in the nuts. For most, it can be reversed. But again, habits of health versus habits of disease. Once you feel how good you feel with implementing habits of health, you will start to push those habits of disease away more and more. Or you will simply have your staples that you will never deviate from. For me, on treat days, like when I consume between 8 to 12,000 calories of whatever I want, next one is going to be Super Bowl Sunday coming up tomorrow. The habits of health I will not compromise are sunrise and sun throughout the day. I'll do the sunrise. I'll do pre-sunrise, grounded, sunrise grounded. Then I'll come in and get my dogs, walk to the morning sun spot, where I take off all my clothes except for my kaniki. I'm grounded, of course. Then I'll come back, get my son and my daughter, and then we'll go on what we call the chunky mobile, and we walk around the neighborhood, 2,200 step walk, only wearing shorts, gloves, and a hat. Obviously, summer I'm not wearing that, and just shorts, and I walk around the neighborhood. And then I'll do that walk again, more towards 3:30. Okay, completely different spectrum I'm getting. Vitamin D is now out, so I'm getting that. The other health things that I will not compromise: ice bath on treat days. Ice bath before, the day before, day after, and the day of. Grounding outside in the sun and grounding while at my computer. So I'm hooked up to my grounding rod that is outside my window. DHA, seafood consumption. I will usually have a milkshake, and the seafood will be in there. So usually if it's a milkshake, it's usually sardines. Sometimes I've been putting shrimp shells in it as well. Usually a raw egg as well. Raw eggs have DHA. Duck eggs have more DHA than chicken eggs. Duck eggs are far more better for you as well, in terms of good fats and everything. And they taste so much better than chicken eggs. So if you have the ability to get duck eggs, highly recommend it. Workout training session done before any treats. So usually that means a morning workout. Phone is on airplane mode and in a Defender Shield case 23.5+ hours a day. So the only time I take it off airplane mode is if I need to make a call, which I don't make too many calls these days. Most of my calls are from my computer on Google Voice. And otherwise I'm doing a post for social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of stuff. But otherwise I'm just using it on airplane mode. Everything works on airplane mode. Podcasts, the DMinder app, and MyFitnessPal, all that stuff. If you need help, you know how to reach me. I've got programs services ranging from $0 to $499. But the most important thing is noticing where you are and choosing to act rather than wait. And for most people, when they wait, they are still going to be engaged in more habits of disease. And the percent heteroplasmy rates keep inching up and up and up. And you keep losing electrons. You keep having electron steal syndrome, which is going to steal your energy. And then you're going to try to find ways to get it back. And you're going to feel more like crap. You're going to feel more depressed, more anxious, more stressed. These are all things we need to get rid of. Okay? But those habits of disease will keep pounding on you and keep pounding on you. That's why they call them diseases of aging. Okay? As you age, you get more diseases. Okay? Because your heteroplasmy rate is going up. Okay? You're getting older. Your cells can't recover as well. Okay? That's why we need to be a biohacker. Why we need to be a mitochondriac. Why we need to be an improvement warrior. All right? You're getting destroyed by these frequencies and by these corporations, big tech, big food, big pharma, everybody. They all want a piece of your dollars. Don't let them. Be a self-sustaining human being. I just listened to the Kyle Kingsbury podcast. It was the Red Pill solo cast. I will hook it up. It is great. If you want to jump down the rabbit hole of what the government and what governments around the world and what corporations are doing to us, listen to it. There is a point of no return or a point of limited benefits. Do not reach that point. Okay? When people start on their journey of health habits, okay, there's a reason. A lot of them don't ever go back. They just keep going and keep going. Okay? Because it feels good. It feels good to have energy. It feels good to be strong physically and mentally. Okay? Just keep going. Need help? Ask me. So I say it all the time. The vast majority of diseases are completely reversible. However, not every person is curable. People become their diseases. To be free from diseases, you must think and be health. Okay? I have a meditation from Mind Tamer. It's free. Perfect health, perfect body. Listen to it. Meditate to it. It's awesome. I'll put that in the show notes. The number one thing for health is circadian biology. Your light environment is more important than food or exercise. So this is a quote from Dr. Cruz. Let there be light. At the moment of conception, when a sperm joins the egg, light is emitted from the embryo as millions of zinc ions are pushed out of the egg. This is how E equals mc squared works in us. I'll repeat that. Let there be light. At the moment of conception, when a sperm joins the egg, light is emitted from the embryo as millions of zinc ions are pushed out of the egg. This is how E equals mc squared works in us. Okay, and then a final here. Your EMF zip code is more important than your genetic code. If you have a bad zip code, that equals a poor circadian cycle. That equals poor autophagy, which is cellular repair, mitochondrial repair, which equals poor sleep, which equals losing electrons, which equals calcium efflux, which equals dehydrated proteins, which equals excess protons, which equals all modern day diseases. So I know when some other things that I've learned as I've gone through my health journey is I took a course from Chris Kresser. It's the Healthy Baby Code. And he recommended that you do not have a child less than 3 years apart, because he says that the body of the woman cannot recover in that short time. Okay, so having a baby it's one of the most stressful things, physically on the body, emotionally, mentally, okay? And then you've got the after, okay? And the lack of sleep, okay? Feed me, all that stuff, okay? So 3 years, he recommends, is the minimum. And I definitely listen to this podcast from Dr. Cleopatra on the Luke Storey Podcast as she goes into the Primester and talks about what that is and all that, and then how to feed yourself before, during, all that. And check out my thing, Mommy Strength, if you are a mom, or you're expecting to be a mom, or you just had a baby. So first trimester, or pre-pregnancy, first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and then post-natal workouts are up there. If you're a guy listening to this, definitely check out LBN for your workouts there, but also check out the other things. EMF webinar is free, introduction to grounding, and also EMF. So if you are not grounding, that is one of the most important things that you can do for your health. Check with me. I mean, if you live in downtown in New York City, I wouldn't do it in New York City or Los Angeles or like there. But it would probably be pretty hard to find grass in New York City. But yeah, so definitely check those resources out. Again, the show notes will be at improvementwarriorfitness.com/fertility. And again, thank you very much for listening. Please support the show by going to the links, going to the resources. A lot of those links are affiliate links, so they do pay for the show and to help me create more content as we go throughout. And always looking for the reviews. That is what is going to help people find us. Apple Podcasts is the best one to do it, but you can review us wherever you're listening to this. And I will check you later. Share this out to anybody that you know is having fertility issues. I'm happy to help. Obviously, there's all kinds of clinics and stuff that we do not need. We don't need those clinics. We focus on the health habits. Okay, the health habits I recommend, the health habits in my 17-step guidebook, Mitochondriac Improvement Warrior Guidebook, improvementwarriorfitness.com/mitochondriac. Check that out. Those 17 steps will help you vastly. But in order to have a healthy baby, you need to reverse your leptin resistance. If you're overweight by any means, men and women, you need to reverse that leptin. And you need to get strong, and you need to get healthy. That's what we need. We need healthy people, because people aren't thinking right in this pandemic. It's actually a plandemic. If you haven't watched the plandemic documentaries, I forget the name of the guy who did it, but it was on the Kyle Kingsbury podcast. I watched the first episode. I didn't know there was a second one. I'm going to watch that here probably this weekend. So check those out. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Share this out. I will talk to you later. Have a great day. Stay strong. Stay positive. Be the improvement warrior.
Mindset matters most, which is why I created Mind Tamer almost a decade ago. Mind Tamer takes you through monthly modules and lessons designed to bring about positive changes and make you stronger, more positive, and more mentally tough, which will lead to the life of your dreams and not someone else's hope for your life. Mind Tamer focuses on the 6 positive strengths of physical, nutritional, mental, emotional, awareness, and spiritual. All lessons strive for improving those 6 strengths. They all tie together to create the improvement warrior and the strongest version of you. Change is ready for you if you are willing. The path is not easy, but a warrior's path never is. You can start your free 2-week trial at mindtameronline.com.